And I was blown away by the Inventions Secrecy Act. And I went down a rabbit hole. And I wanted to find out who wrote this bill and what happened to the guy that wrote the bill. The guy that wrote the bill, you know who he is, the John Sparksman, I think his name is, or something like that. You know, he ends up becoming the nominee for the Democratic vice presidential candidate of 1952, exactly the year they wrote the bill, and they're holding on to 6,000 patents. And I think the world needs to know about this. To the average person, when I ask them, have you heard of the Inventions Secrecy Act? When I tell you 99% say, I've never heard of it, I'm being friendly. Right. Because 100% people are like, what is the Inventions Secrecy Act of 1951? Can you tell the audience, what is the Inventions Secrecy Act of 1951, who was behind it, and why?
Well, it actually became an offshoot of the projects from the 40s dealing with energy and technology and propulsion systems that, if they were disclosed, would be the immediate replacement of oil, gas, coal, surface transportation, public utilities. Well, in today's dollars, you're talking probably over $1,000 trillion. So what most people don't realize is that around between 1945 and 1954 was the heyday of electromagnetic engineering dealing with energy and propulsion. And it was from two sources, research that had been done in the late 1800s and early 20th century, and even things that people call anti-gravity, not the correct scientific term, but let's just go with that. It's really gravity control. Those experiments started in the late 20s with T. Townsend Brown and the Kolosky-Frost experiment in Germany, and where very high voltage systems would cause objects to lift and basically have mass cancellation and look like they're defying gravity and levitate.
This is the G engines you're talking about.
Yep. And but that was earlier. I mean, that was later. This was 20s. But those began to be more and more classified. So T. Townsend Brown's work became some of the core founding for what's called the RAND Corporation in Ventura, California. But those got populated with research from retrieving extraterrestrial vehicles in the mid 40s and 50s, where they began to study them under a very highly classified project. I have the documents. We've just released all of them to the public last month in our Disclosure Project Intelligence Archive. But it describes, in one of the Canadian top secret documents, that a top secret team was working on this in 1950, and the work they were doing surpassed the secrecy of the development of the hydrogen bomb, the ultimate doomsday weapon, if you can imagine. Now, this is an authenticated top secret, document. So the punchline of that is there was this technological breakthroughs, both human and in studying objects from outer space, let's say, that came together, the two mighty rivers that became this torrent, but very classified. So they realized that there were too many people stumbling across this, and they created this act to give the government the power that even if you don't apply for a patent, if they learn you have something that they want to seize, all they have to do is issue a national security order on it, they take it. And this is not a conspiracy theory and all that. It's just a fact. You can look up people can look this up. And I've worked over the years with many, many people who've had that happen to them, geniuses that have had their work confiscated. And it would be an enormous benefit to humanity. But the super elite, global elite, don't want that out. They didn't want it out in the 50s, and they don't want it out now. So that is the core of the secrecy behind what people call UFOs or UAPs. That's really the heart of it.